Hello and welcome to the Mets in the UK podcast, your place for all things Mets in the UK. You can find us on all of your great podcasting hosts on Spotify. You can find us across all of the socials. We're on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Insta. You know where to find us. We are Mets in the UK. Use the hashtag MITUK to get involved. This evening, we are continuing our guest series. Tom is otherwise engaged, but I am joined this evening by our lovely Jo. Hi, Jo.
Hello. Seems like it's been a long time since I was here. Show my face.
Missed your face.
You might not after this.
So much. We both thought the same thing. And Tracey. Hi, Tracey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Well, got a little bit of sniffles, so I apologise for any dodgy coughs. As I mentioned, we are continuing our guest series. This evening, we are delighted to be joined by Dan from AthleteLogos. Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me.
Not at all. Thank you so much for joining us. With that in mind, for those people listening or watching that don't necessarily know who you are and what you do, give us a little bit of a background on what it is that you get up to and how you came to be doing it.
Sure. So I had a job as a corporate graphic designer for 13 years, which was very boring. User manuals, boxes for cell phones. It was a good job. It paid well, but it wasn't creative, and it had nothing to do with the things I loved, sports and other stuff. So while I had that job, I started AthleteLogos as just an Instagram for fun, because I thought, this was 9 years ago, I thought that athletes had huge social media followings and they should have their own logo, their own brand, their own merch, all that kind of stuff. And baseball especially is very lagging behind compared to basketball and football, American football, with using their own social media, having logos. So I did it for fun for a little while, and then people started being interested in buying my designs to sell on products. And then I did some freelance, and then when I was laid off from my job, I decided to go full-time, and now I make my own merch. I do a lot more than just Mets, but most of my following is because of I'm a Met fan, so a lot of my designs are gravitated towards the Met stuff.
Nice. Do you you've obviously got a lot of designs over, like you say, a range of sports. Have you got a favorite design or neon that you've done since you started doing it?
I would probably say the Senga Ghost Fork, just because of his reaction to it, because I've had players like my stuff. I've had players ask me to do things for them, but he was wearing the hat every game after the game in the clubhouse, and the people started using them as strikeout signs in the stadium. So every time I see that, that's the one that has resonated the most, I think, with the fans and for me personally too.
That is cool. I love that one. When you see them putting it up in the stadium, that must be an awesome
That's
feeling.
awesome. And I'm not, we spoke about off camera, I'm not really front facing. I'm not the type to go to a game and bring a big sign. So it's so great that someone else decided to do that. And it became a huge part of his first season. Every time there's a highlight package from that year, they show them holding up the K signs. So that is awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool.
So speaking about the commissions that you've done for like Mets players and things like that, do you offer a design or do they contact you with an idea? How does it work?
When I first started, because I was doing it for fun, I would just take someone's initials or a name, like Pete. I did a lot of drawings when Pete first came up, and he was on Twitter at the time, and he would tweet them out and say he loved them. But now that I've gotten a reputation as a business more than just a fan, sometimes they'll ask me. For instance, they asked me to do a OMG shirt with King Kong in the playoffs. That was them coming to me. But at the same time, I do so many other shirts, and if I think they might like it, I'll send a few to the stadium. So it's probably about 50-50. Obviously, I love when they come to me because it just feels like I'm not as much of a fan, and they want it as opposed to me kind of sending them something. But it's a little bit of both.
Jumping in really quickly, actually, we probably should say thank you for helping us out with our own logo.
Oh, that's
Yes.
my pleasure.
Because
I love
the London series, that was a huge part of it, wasn't it, guys, in terms of having the flag and everything?
Yeah, it was so recognizable. In fact, I was talking to Tracey the other day because we have the two designs. So we have the main, our Apple design, and then we have our Skyline one. And I couldn't find it earlier, but I was going through some stuff a couple of weeks ago, and I came across that scrap of paper. Do you remember, girls, the one that I took a photo
Yeah.
of? It was like, it would be really cool if we had something like this, and it was the worst scribble in the world.
I can't remember if I sent it to you, Dan, or if I just tried to describe it. I can't remember.
And then Dan took it and created the Skyline logo from it. It was like,
Which
so
you can
good.
just see over Toria's shoulder. There's
Maybe
a
on the
picture,
flag.
yeah, in the frame on your
Oh,
door.
that's right. That's right. You guys
There you go.
had Steve Cohen with that flag as well, right?
We did. We
right.
did.
Yeah, that flag was quite possibly one of the most photographed and videoed things of the whole weekend. I mean, on workout day, there were just media constantly coming over
Yeah.
and taking photos and videos with it. It was absolutely crazy. And but
Yeah.
it's recognizable. We take it to City Field, we take it with us when we do things here, and it is great for us to have that, but to have it so beautifully done by you. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
Oh,
very
I
much.
was happy to do it.
Thank you.
I actually have my as part of my office setup, I have my neon displayed as well. So for those of you that don't know, some time ago, Dan just took people's photographs and made a neon from it. I have mine done, so mine's printed out and displayed in my office, so I get to look at it all the time, because they are super cool. Super cool.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on it a little bit with how your commissions come about, but where does your inspiration come from, Dan?
Well, you mentioned the neon, and that is that's really, it's funny because I always tell people, if you have a hobby and you think, oh, it's too niche, nobody is really going to resonate with it, or I'm the only one, how many people could like this? I grew up with those neons on the side of Shea Stadium, and I had AthleteLogos going probably for a year or two, and Cespedes hit a home run and he did a bat flip, and that was the first time I ever did a neon, and I said, if they still had neons on the stadium, this would be a great one. And he had the yellow arm sleeve, and he threw the bat off to the side. And I remember I used to get, like, on Instagram, 12 likes, 14 likes, and I got like 130 likes. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. A lot of people who are my age or older grew up with that stadium, and they miss it. They can't believe that it's back. So that, which seems like the most niche thing, not little, it was huge, but the part of Shea Stadium that the Mets didn't, the actual organization, I was told many times, they didn't like. They thought of it as it was lipstick on a pig when they added it to the stadium.
Ooh.
And then the newer generation of Met employees thought of it as a cheap Wilpon thing. So that the reason it never came back in vogue, the reason they didn't have it at Citi Field, was because the actual Met organization thought, that wasn't a good generation. It was after they won the World Series. It was when they stunk. So for me, it was emotional, and I remembered it. And then I realized how many people. So now it's been 7 years. I've done one after every win. I did that series where people sent their photos in. So I've done thousands and thousands of neons. And the first time I did it, I thought, it's just something I liked. It was not going to go anywhere. So you never know.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Fingers crossed, neon project.
Yeah, well, I'm not optimistic, but you never know.
Next time we see Steve, we'll have a word.
Well, it's funny
well,
because a lot of people have told me they've said it to him, and he always says, "Oh, it's a great idea." And I got someone got an email from his chief of staff. It's a great idea, but it just doesn't seem like it's something that's going to happen, which is fine.
You never know. You never know. One of the things that we've really enjoyed speaking to people about in the various episodes is kind of their origin story. So how did the Mets come into your life, and kind of how did you get into baseball originally?
So I had no choice. We were raised. Me and my brother were raised not only to be Met fans, but to avoid Yankee fans at all costs. That they were not the same level of human being. That they were. If you got cut off by a car, there was always a Yankee sticker on it. I try not to teach my daughter that far, but that it was like, Met ball in the crib. It was, so my father had a Saturday plan, so we went to every Saturday for about 12 years, and then coincidentally, the year they lost to the Yankees in the World Series, the Mets used to give, if you had season tickets, you had the option, if you wanted to buy as many playoff games as you wanted. That year, because demand was so high, they said you can only get one game. We'll tell you which game to each series if you want to buy it. He was so upset that he was a season ticket holder for all these years and he couldn't get it, that he got rid of his tickets. So after that, I go sporadically. I'm about 45 minutes to an hour away, but I don't go to many games. It's a different generation. I always say when I grew up, we had a 27-inch tube and it was far away, and going to a Met game was incredible. Now having a 70-inch screen and the bathroom's right there and I don't have to drive to Queens, going there is not as much as desirable for me as it was as a kid.
Yeah, we try and make a few trips over there ourselves, don't we, guys, when we get the opportunity. It's a bit further for us, though.
Yeah, just a bit.
That's a commute.
We do, and I guess it's not on our doorstep, so it's a bit more of a big deal for us to go, rather than, I think, maybe if it was doorstep and we had the option of the 70-inch or going kind of almost whenever we liked, it might be a bit different. It's what you get used to, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I see a lot of people, and sometimes I get jealous that are there all the time, and I get offered tickets, but I have a 6-year-old and she has gymnastics, and there's things going on, and you can't get her out of school in time to get there. So to go on a weekend is a whole day. There's stuff going on in the summer, so it's just not. Maybe when she's a little older. Right now, she can't sit through. She watches, but she's not going to sit in a seat for 3 hours. So it's just, I'd rather her have fun and be home than go there. I go with my friend sometimes if she has something else to do, but I'm just at a phase where in the next 9 or 10 years I won't be going too much.
Yeah.
Family first.
That's right.
So focusing on the Mets, what are your thoughts on 2024? Have you got a favorite moment or game or anything like that?
I would probably say Pete's home run. I mean, Lindor's home run against the Phillies and the one against the Braves were both, but Pete's home run was over. The season was going to end. It was still a pretty good season, but he dropped the foul ball in the last inning, and I'm very emotional. I don't want to lose Pete, and I really think that gives a better chance of him coming back. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the wildest home run. I was there for the Todd Pratt home run and the Ventura Grand Slam single, and those were huge. But Pete's home run, I mean, the season was over, and he hit a home run off one of the best closers in the game. So that was probably there was so many last year, but I would put that as number one.
And I guess last year gave you plenty of content for designs and to have fun with, right? There's lots going on for you to play with.
It's interesting because I really thought they were going to be bad. I thought they were going to be under 500. I didn't see how it was going to happen, but I told one of my friends, I said, you know what? They'll probably be bad, but something will come up. There'll be like some kind of viral moment, because there always is. Every year there's one. But then all of a sudden there's the rally tent, there's the grimace.
Hang on, this is where I go like this.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many are on there?
Got my t-shirt out.
And I had to omit a bunch of them. So, I mean, it was like...
Did we make it on this one? Did we make it on?
Yeah, we did.
There were jokes made that they were a gimmicky team because there were so many different things that the fans would latch onto and say, oh, there was the dog who ate the hot dog. And everyone thought, oh, this dog who ate the hot dog is going to be the good luck charm. And it was for like a week, not for OMG, and Grimace lasted the whole time. Still, people are still buying Grimace things now. But it was really, from a merch perspective, it was like meant to be. Everything was perfect.
Yeah. I'm terrible at things like this, because every time you put out a new design, I'm like, yeah, I like that one. And I end up ordering something again.
Well, that's good for me. But a lot of years there's one. A lot of years there's one. And then I always say, from my business perspective, I always consider either the trade deadline or the day they're eliminated. That's it. No one's buying anything. I don't really promote, because I'm a fan too. I don't want to be told, oh, we got a sale when they're out for the season. Like when they traded Scherzer and Verlander and they were like, that's it. I was like, all right, well, I'm done with the Mets until spring training, because I'm not going to push products when people are in a bad mood. And this year it didn't happen until the end. It was unbelievable. And every time I thought it was going to happen, they kept going. I really thought before that Braves doubleheader, they had a really bad series in Atlanta. And I was like, the same old Mets, they're going to lose on the last day. It's going to be horrible. And that they didn't. And then it was the whole postseason was magic. It really was. It was the best non-World Series year you could ever have.
Yeah. And I think, do you reckon we managed to convince you that it started in London? Because we all know.
I mean, that's true. That's 100% true. That double play was the beginning, because they were middling before that, and they started to get a little juice right when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that shirt.
Yeah. I got that one too.
That was big. That was
Yeah,
big. It was really. I think inside the clubhouse that was big. That's when they started to say, "All right, well, hey, it's not over. We get them things going." And that's really, a lot of other things happened. Mania started pitching a little side on. Everything started to go their way. But anyone who doesn't think it started there would be incorrect.
Yeah. That's why I always say, like, why anyone new to baseball in this country, especially for us, like, why wouldn't you follow the Mets? Like, we're the most fun, aren't we? By a mile.
I would agree with that. If you go back the last 20 years, you might not say that.
Yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster being a Mets fan.
Yeah. Well, I say for my daughter, she hopefully will grow up thinking they were always good. They were always fun. They had the richest owner. They have I'm not going to go, but they're going to have a casino next to the stadium. It's going to be a party. It's not going to be what I grew up with. They stink. The Braves own them. There's junkyards next to the stadium. The Yankees win the World Series all the time. I really think I might be just too optimistic. I think the Mets getting Soto is the beginning of the end for the Yankees.
Oh, you heard it here.
I believe it. I really think it's because it's been cyclical in this city over the past 60 years. The Mets do have, when they had the 80s, the Yankees were a laughingstock. The Mets they owned the town. So I'm hoping this is the beginning of a free agent who has the choice of both will pick the Mets.
Yeah.
We have more money. I hope that I hope they become terrible. I hope I hope their fans have nothing to chirp about other than their 27 rings. And it's the beginning of us becoming, you can't win the World Series everywhere, but if you could get to Final Four every year, then that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I have a friend who started watching this year, the first year, and throughout the whole season, I'm like, this is not normal. This is not normal. Don't get used to it. Don't think that this is what it's going to be like every year, and not just with the relative success of the year, but with everything that went with it as well. I'm like, just it's not
hopefully, like I said, hopefully people who are just starting will have a different, without having all the trauma. If you just came in now, you might say, hey, they're pretty good. I mean, they have lovable players. In the 80s, they had detestable players. And in the early 90s, they had guys who were troublemakers and domestic abusers. Now they're really, like I said, it all does start at the top. It does start with a new owner, and that changed everything. But just the whole vibe, I really believe that everything's starting to come to be a positive. It's nice. It's finally nice to be a Met fan.
We've got a question from one of our followers on, I think it's Twitter, Philly Perez. He wanted us to ask you how you do it, how being such a great artist and staying engaged with the fans and interacting with all your followers. How do you?
I would say, and I know this only because I do other sports in New York, some of which I like the teams, some I don't. I'm not really a hockey guy, even though I do the teams. And then I do other teams outside of New York. And I will say the reason I'm able to resonate with the Met fans is because I feel the same things that you feel. So I could do a Kansas City Chiefs shirt, and I might understand what's going on, and they might win a game, and I might know that this is viral, so I'll make a shirt. But I am with you guys every painful or good moment all season long. Like the things I tweeted about the Yankees that go viral, that's because I was raised the way I was, because I grew up in high school, they were dominant and we were made fun of. And now, I've been there. And so it's real. It's genuine. It's not, you can't fake it.
Love it.
Yeah. We can sense your passion and love for the Mets from your tweets.
And I also feel that I always say this, and I genuinely mean it. I would not be able to have the life I have if it wasn't for Met fans specifically supporting me, because I have, like I said, I have other businesses. I'm trying to grow in other sports and other things. But the reason that I'm able to first not get a real job and now make this a career and keep building on it is because when I started, Met fans supported me, and still to this day, they buy things. I've had negative things happen. Major League Baseball didn't want me to tweet for a while because they thought I was taking and Met fans came to bat for me every time anything happens. If it wasn't for Met fans, I wouldn't be able to do this. So I say it all the time. My daughter wakes up, I'm home, I take her to school, I pick her up. That's all because of Met fans supporting me. And that's more valuable than anything, more valuable than money, that's for sure.
Oh, that's lovely.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions, guys? I think
we have got our quick fire questions. Yes. So, Dan, it's just 3 quick questions. Just the first thing that comes into your head. Nothing too difficult. Just go with your gut.
Okay.
So, your favourite Mets players, past and present?
David Wright, and I hope Pete counts as present still. If Pete doesn't count, then Senga, but I'd say Pete.
He currently counts as present. We'll go with that.
I hope he comes back.
Yeah, me too. Your favourite Mets moment? It could be one that you've done a design for, or that you've seen in real life, or watched on the TV, and just had that moment where you thought, "Wow."
I would say the Andy Chavez catch, which it's a shame. A lot of people say, "Oh, they lost." I was at the game, and I get it, they lost. But the fact that they lost does not make that play any less. That was the greatest defensive play in the history of baseball, and they turned double play. And he got 2 standing ovations in between innings. He had to come out twice. The place, it was incredible. And the actual play itself, how high he got, how little he was, it's incredible. That was the best thing I've ever seen as a Met fan.
Yeah, and for those Met fans who are joining us, particularly those who are newer, if you've not seen that play, just Google it. It is absolutely worth watching, and I promise you will watch it over and over and over. It'll take you a little while for it to sink in that it
absolutely. And it was Game 7 of the series, and if that home run went over, it was over because that was the bottom of the 7th inning. So it was the best play I've ever seen.
Absolutely. So you're given access to Uncle Steve's checkbook. You're allowed to make 1 transaction with this checkbook. They don't have to be a free agent. It can be any player in MLB at the moment, or that might be coming over from like Korea, Japan, anywhere. Who are you signing and why?
Now that we have Soto, I guess we can't get. I would have to say Ohtani. Especially now if he's going to pitch. Also, he's 2 players. That's why, to me, that's why he got paid. He got paid so much because he's 2 players and because Japan. I know because I sell shirts to Japan, and the amount, the kind of baseball fans, the population percentage of baseball fans there is insane. But like I said, I would take him because he can pitch. He could be a number 1 or 2 starter, and he hits 50 home runs and steals 50 bases. He's not human. He's not a normal baseball player. But he's not going to. He'd say no because the East Coast is too far away.
That's the issue. But he is absolutely a unicorn.
Yeah, I always wonder about baseball, because in other sports you get quite a lot of people that are good at both things, but in baseball that pitching and batting combo is so rare, isn't it?
The thing is, they train it to be rare because, and Keith mentions this all the time, in Little League, when you're a kid or even in high school, the pitcher is usually the best hitter. He's the best athlete. He's probably not Ohtani, but he's really good at both. And then they say, stop hitting, just pitch, or vice versa. But if they really trained them and allowed them, I think there could be more of them.
You wonder if it will change, like it'll inspire the way people do things and they'll try and recreate it.
They're just too much. I think they're too much of an investment, and they're afraid to have them play outfield and hurt their arm if they're a great pitcher.
Yeah,
it's just. I think it's possible. I don't see why not. Like I said, I know they all mention it. Like Keith was a pitcher. Like all these guys were pitchers, and Ron was a good hitter, and John Olerud was he was an ace, and he happened to be a good hitter. It's just I don't think the game, they don't want that. I think he was so good, and because he started in another country and had such a track record, he could say, no, I'm not coming. You're not signing me. Just like this football player, Travis Hunter, is going to say, if you pick me, I'm doing both. You're not going to tell me no, which is unfortunate because if the organization had their way, they would have told Ohtani just hit. They wouldn't have let him pitch.
Yeah. Wasn't DeGrom a shortstop as well?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. He was quite good at that.
I don't like the DH, so I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah. I think universal DH does make this kind of thing slightly more possible, because it's going to extend them that little bit and remove a little bit of that jeopardy of them being an outfielder, because they can rock up. But we're not even going to get into how coaches can win MVPs.
Not that we're bitter at all.
No, not at all. Not at
No.
all. I mean, not like there's awards for offensive players or anything.
Well, they over the course of my lifetime, they should have it. No one cares about the offensive player of the year. That's the problem. Yeah. So that's why they give the MVP to the best hitter, no matter what. I mean, it's just they should make that more valuable, that you're the best hitter in baseball or your league. But it's always the MVP. Very rare a pitcher is the MVP. Very rare. Yeah. Even though they might be more valuable. DeGrom was more valuable to the Mets at the time than any hitter. So
yeah, absolutely. Amazing. So we are about ready to wrap up. Is there any final thoughts from you, Dan?
I would always finish with thank you to everyone who supports me, because as I said, without it, I would be doing something less fun than this. And I'm very blessed to wake up and be able to design Mets stuff or whatever I do. So I thank you to everyone who supports what I do, and hopefully this becomes the year. Hopefully, first step is Pete. I'm going to be very upset if he's gone, especially if he's on the Yankees. But first step is Pete. Minaya, maybe we get lucky, get Sasaki somehow. But let's get Pete, and then let's. I can't wait for spring training. I'm very excited.
Bring it on.
And Dan, if any of our listeners and viewers wanted to support you even more, where can they find you? Where can they buy your merch from?
So you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook on AthleteLogos, or you can go to athletelogos.com. And I'm always on DM or email if anyone has any custom requests or anything else they need. I'm always very responsive.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dan.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. So once again, a shout out to our regular followers and subscribers. We appreciate you all. For those of you who are new to us, please give us a like, a share, comment, all that fun stuff. We are here to try and spread the love of our Mets. So let's do so far and wide. Thank you once again, Dan, for joining us. We really appreciate you giving us your time and for all that you do for not just us, but the Mets community. It always gives us a smile. And we hope that the Mets community continues to support all of the things that you do. All that's left to say is, let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.